Welcome back, Moses Hershko, MHD Capital. Today I want to talk about opportunities in the real estate market. The market, it's on fire. There are different pockets, different market where the market is not as crazy, as solid, but again, we're always looking for deals in specific markets which always stay stable because they are not affected by the economy, right? Those type of locations, appeal to the 1%. That's why I like to call my podcast Building for the 1%. The 1% means the 1% of the most wealthiest individuals and family, right? That's on the investment sides. When we're looking for investments, we're looking for proximity for locations that are unbreakable. Usually those locations are by the ocean or have barriers to entry, right? Like there's not too much land, to build. Certain locations, certain pockets in the markets we are actively looking for deals. They're very exclusive, so when you find a good opportunity in that market and you buy it in the right price, we cannot lose. It's been shown those locations have been very successful and they just keep on going up. There is sometimes corrections in the economy or in the real estate market, and sometimes things are being corrected slightly, but overall, if you look at the graph, when the market goes, let's say, up and down, it always goes in a line kind of towards going up, right? So if you look at like a certain investment in the 3 to 5 year range, it's really depend on kind of the long-term appreciation. But for us, we usually buy those type of deals and we kind of get in and out very quickly, so we can maximize the leverage, we can maximize the return on investment, right? So it really depends. You can invest in apartments for cash flow, for stability, for long term with lower interest, or you can invest in single family properties or high-end, residential. It can be even condos. But today I want to talk about single family luxury properties that we are actively searching. If you are a real estate agent or broker and you have clients that would like to sell and they are motivated, we like to look at off-market deals, because usually, deals that's on the market, they are not really priced well. And a lot of those deals on market, they are more targeting towards like the end user. Somebody is going to buy it for themselves, for their family to live in it. So the type of deals that we're looking for is opportunities that we can reposition, we can increase the value. If it's, it can be an apartment building, it can be a single family residence, but we need to get into a situation where we can, increase the value of the property, either renovate it tremendously, add square footage, or even tear it down and build, a modern contemporary style home on it that can, kind of really leverage the return on investment, right? Doing it for so many years, as a general contractor, as a developer, I have incredible relationships with vendors, showrooms, real estate agents, and brokers. So the type of opportunities that usually come to my desk, they are not on the market, right? So, we're usually able to secure those deals in much better price, which, result in better yield, right? Result in yielding much more profit in the end, because usually when those type of property gets to the market, they're already too expensive. Having access to those type of deals will result in lower startup costs, right? To get into the project. Again, I always say that we don't speculate. So you make money when you buy the deal, when you buy the property, not when you sell it. You have to look at replacement costs, right? So the type of properties that I usually like to put offers on, the type of properties we like to buy, I have to look at what is going to cost me to build the same property in today's market. So for example, if I bought that property for $500 a foot, then it cost me to build it $750 or $1,000, that I already make money on the buy. So if I make money on the buy, and again, securing my position, getting into the deal in the right way, then I don't have to speculate. For me, I'm not worried if the market goes up and down in that case. I just want to make sure that we design it right and we build it right and we have a good quality product, right? And again, of course, the unbreakable location. If you have those basic structure for the way we look at those type of deals, then we're going to have a winning formula, right? So first of all, the acquisition, buying the property, finding an opportunity, capitalize on our relationships with real estate agents, with brokers, and finding the right opportunities to have lower startup cost and get into the deal in the right price, in the right location. That's first of all kind of the ABC of how we structure our position in those deals. Secondly, now we have to start design it. Now we have to create, perfect, the perfect design so it's relevant to the location and for the targeted buyer, right? The future buyer for the property. So with our reputation, sometimes we'll get a buyer that wants to incorporate in the design and wants to tweak the design to match perfectly with their, style, desires, wish list, and family needs. So sometimes we can kind of work with the buyer, the future buyer, from the beginning. If we can struck a deal with the buyer, in the design phase, it's even better. We sell the property in the beginning, our carry cost is being lowered again. So it's more about like when we look at the opportunity, getting into the right price. If we can even sell it during the design phase, we even maximize again from financing perspective and what we can end up spending on the construction and so forth, because the buyer might finance that phase, right? The construction phase. So regardless if we have a buyer from the beginning or not, we want to make sure we have the right design team in place. Working with our construction company, Moses Hershko Development, create synergy and transition kind of between the design team. We have our internal design team, but a lot of those type of property, we're also going to collaborate with local, architects, for example. So our design team might come up with the perfect vision for the location and for the targeted, that target buyer that we're looking for, right? We want to know from the beginning when we're working on design, we want to know who's our targeted buyer, who's going to buy this property, and we have to be very creative and working with the right consultant. Depends on what we want to create in that space. Now, for example, a lot of those projects we are focused on longevity and wellness, and how we can bring kind of a lot of new technologies in that space. So when we bring the product to the market in 2 or 3 years, we want kind of strategically make sure that we have the right features, right, for the property, and it's gonna appeal to the right buyer again, right? So wellness and longevity, for example, has been a huge focus for us for the last 5 years, and it's been very successful, right, when we build for clients, and also right now when we kind of looking for the right opportunities for our investment fund. So that's going to be very important, right? So buying it in the right price, again, leveraging our relationships to find the right deals, to buy those deals in the right price, to lower our startup cost, getting into those projects, putting the right expertise into the project, right design team, the right architectural team, making sure the design is being done in the right way. So the 3 pillars for successful real estate investing, especially in single family, but not only in single family, also in any real estate transaction that I'm doing or you should do. You want to focus on the location. Everybody said in real estate for hundreds of years, that's the most important thing, the location of the property. Secondly, buying it at under replacement cost, whatever it costs to build today. If you can buy it under what it costs to build it today, that's already a win-win. Buying into the property under market price, is going to leverage the value tremendously. That's super, super important, right? So you picked up the property in the perfect location, you bought it in the right price. All those metrics and data is super important, right, in the beginning. Then you have the right design team in place, and then of course having the right construction team to make sure you're getting good quality labor, and you have a product that you are proud on, and you can present it to the market. If you can find a buyer in the early stage and reduce the carry cost, because the buyer going to finance the construction, so you don't even have to come up with the construction out of pocket. Although we focus on building for the 1%, and some of those properties going to be in the 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 million range, you still want to be conservative, right? The fact that you are building a $100 million property doesn't mean that you cannot be conservative along the way. I'm not saying being cheap on making design decisions or product selection, like finishes and so forth. It's not about that. It's just, making sure that the right things are being fabricated into those deals, right? So all those elements are super important. If you bought it in the right price, you can spend more money on the construction. If you bought it in under replacement cost, again, all those details, it's like building that pyramid, right, of, with those pillars for successful management, design and construction. You have in the back you have the perfect location. You can't lose. This is the type of deals, this is the type of opportunities I'm looking for. MHD acquisition, MHD capital, and of course with our synergy with Moses Hershko Development, we want to create something that's going to bring a lot of value in those locations where we're building, where we're designing a building, and we want to make sure we leverage the opportunity for ourselves, for our investors. So if you are interested to invest with us, just send me a DM capital, and we'll let you know when we have the next opportunity available. God bless and stay safe. We'll see you soon. Let's go.